One of the most common reasons people think the Iraqi dinar will revalue up significantly overnight is because they say it happened in Kuwait. So why not Iraq? They also say the currency will be reinstated at its old rate of over $3, just like the Kuwaiti dinar. There's just one problem. Those situations are completely different and have nothing to do with each other. So let's review, starting with what happened to the Kuwaiti dinar. In August of 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait. While Iraq controlled Kuwait, the Iraqi dinar became the official currency there, replacing the Kuwaiti dinar. That lasted about 7 months. When the war ended, that old version of the Kuwaiti dinar was removed from circulation and replaced with a new version. You can see proof of this from the Central Bank of Kuwait. The currency was removed from circulation on March 24th, 1991, and ceased to be legal tender 45 days after that. You had a 9-month window to exchange your old currency for the new one. Officially, here's how the Kuwaiti dinar's exchange rate moved against the dollar according to the US Treasury. It never dropped below $3.41 through 1990 and 1991. So it did not revalue. Is it possible you could have bought some for cheaper if you traveled to Kuwait during a war, somehow snuck across the border past the Iraqi military twice, and bought up the old currency that was no longer an official currency with the hope and dream that Kuwait would one day win back its territory and the Kuwaiti dinar would become a currency again, instead of just the colorful paper it was when you bought it? Sure, in theory, if you had survived. Now, tell me, does the highway of death here look like a place you'd like to vacation? Unfortunately, that is both highly unrealistic and completely unrelated to the situation in Iraq. Iraq, unlike Kuwait, massively overprinted their currency to fund the war. Here's how it went down. Before the war, it was worth over $3 because it was pegged there by Saddam Hussein's autocratic regime. But then, after Iraq invaded Kuwait, UN sanctions stopped Iraq from being able to physically get the paper they needed to print more of the same money. But they had to fund a war, so they needed to print money. After that, they had two currencies. They created a new currency called the Saddam dinar, which was way overprinted and went from a value of $3 to 0.03 cents. The old bills became known as Swiss dinars and only circulated in the Kurdish regions, which were not really controlled by Saddam Hussein and refused to accept the new currency. The Swiss dinars mostly held their value for a while. Once Saddam was gone in 2003, they created the new currency that they use today. What happened to the holders of the old ones? Listen closely because this part is important. If you had Saddam dinars, which had already been massively devalued, you could exchange them one for the new dinars. If you had the Swiss dinars, which had mostly held their $3 value because they couldn't be printed anymore during the war, you only got 150 new dinars for each Swiss dinar. At a valuation of a little less than 1,500 dinars to the dollar, the currency was devalued from about $3 to around 10 cents. It lost about 95 to 97% of its value overnight. The Iraqi dinar that is currently circulating today did not exist in 1990 and was never valued at $3. There is no reason to expect it to ever go back there. Once you have massively overprinted your currency, you simply can't take that money back out of circulation the same way you put it in. You can't reverse the damage done to the exchange rate. The only thing that drives currency valuations is supply and demand. Supply of the Iraqi dinar increased massively in 1990, which is why it lost so much of its value. You can reduce the supply a little by doing things like making it harder for people to get loans, but that weakens the economy, which was already in a deep recession in 2023. And you can increase demand a little by buying the currency on the open market. But Iraq, they don't have nearly enough reserves to drive the dinar's value up significantly. They can barely even maintain the peg as it is. That's why it's physically impossible for the Iraqi dinar or any other currency to revalue up significantly overnight. Hey, and by the way, my name's Kyle. I used to advise portfolio managers at Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch. I came across this Iraqi dinar scam, 6 months ago. And one thing I've learned about making content is you have to meet viewers in their own reality. And I've seen there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of viewers out there who really believe the dinar, the Iraqi dinar, is going to make them rich overnight. So if you're one of those people and you want the truth about the Iraqi dinar, check out my Iraqi dinar playlist. I've called out scammers. I've told you why it's not really a big deal that JP Morgan's over there and a slew of other things that the dinar gurus won't tell you. And if you want more investment insight, join my free Discord. The link is also below in the description. And stay tuned for my next video where I'll compare returns of the Iraqi dinar to the S&P 500.